So in this video, the topic I wanted to share with you guys is basically ADHD. It's a very interesting topic for me, and I only recently found out about ADHD, believe it or not, which is kind of surprising. And that's what I want to share with you guys, especially growing up in a Malayali or in a Kerala society. It's difficult to talk about these kind of things, and it's difficult for you to find people who can relate to this. So ADHD basically means attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And in this video, I'm just sharing with you guys my personal thoughts and reflection. So just to give you guys a bit of a context, I recently realized that it's very highly likely that I have undiagnosed ADHD. And I feel like this explains so much of my difficulty in life, especially when it comes to trying to be a YouTube content creator. As with any new realization, we ask ourselves, what if things were different in the past? How it would have affected the present? If I were to find out that I had ADHD when I was younger, I feel like I could have gone so much in life. And that always plays with my head, and it always annoys me to the point why didn't that happen? Why didn't my parents or at least somebody in the school notice that I couldn't focus because of my ADHD, or I couldn't progress in the same level as some other people in my class? Why didn't anybody notice that? The fact that I know this now is one of my greatest advantages, so that I can work towards managing it. And of course, getting a proper diagnosis will make a huge difference. I believe one of the biggest myths about ADHD is the name itself. It says it's an attention deficit disorder, and it says that it's your lack of concentration. But actually in ADHD, you don't lack concentration, you just concentrate on too many things at once. And to be honest, this is one of the biggest hurdles for me, especially when it comes to YouTube. I have way too many ideas that I want to do all at once. I get distracted by these ideas. For example, I start working on one video, and down the line, before I even finish this video, I get hooked on a completely new idea, and then I start that video. Now I'm getting backed up by multiple videos that I need to finish. I get exhausted, and what happens is I end up not finishing both of the videos. If I just had this one idea where I could just go at it 100%, not have any other distractions, not think about other ideas, that would have been great, but it doesn't work. It's just I can't seem to make that work. I don't know if you guys out there who's starting YouTube, and if you're in the same boat, then you would know. It's hard to explain this constant, trying to change an idea, or you get really bored very fast, and then you move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. I'm looking back at my childhood, I'd done this so many times. In my studies, when I was doing my degree, when I was in college, constantly, and even when I had jobs, I would stick to a job, maybe, I think maximum was 1 year. After that, I have to get out. I couldn't tolerate it anymore. Obviously now I can clearly see, looking at my past, how that affected me, and how to move forward, basically, how I need to address this issue, even though it seems like it's a bit too late now. I'm 30, I pretty much lived my prime years. And I don't think me going back and thinking about those years, even procrastinating about it, is going to help me. I need to now find ways to deal with this. I would say to others, you need to talk about this. You need to educate others about this. And if I don't talk about certain things, and if I don't talk about the mental health issues in our society and things like that, what's going to happen is that same idea and ideology and all that stuff get bleeded into the next generation, to my generation, the next generation, when realistically we should be advancing ourselves in every generation. If people were to be the same throughout the generation, there wouldn't be any changes. People would just still be in the Stone Ages. If you live in this decade where information is readily available, there is no excuse for you to not look into certain things that you didn't have a chance to look into. Even for your parents, you should educate them. Once you become old enough, you will be the educator for your parent, because parents don't, the world they knew, especially if they live in a closed society, the world they lived is completely moved on. So there comes you, who's gonna give information and knowledge to them, and there's nothing wrong with it. And you just have to hope that you have a parent who's willing to listen to you. So I don't want to give you guys, advices, because I'm not an expert in this. Like I said, I only discovered about, ADHD maybe like less than a year ago. And I'm trying to deal with that myself. And I just want to share like my opinions on it. That's all I'm doing here. I would highly recommend that you get professional help, because that's like the best way to deal with this. It's a bit difficult nowadays to get that diagnosis, because all our healthcare sectors are stressed to the max. Think about the past. Look into some traits of ADHD. Were you like very hyper? Did you go from one idea to the other idea like that? Could you not concentrate on one specific thing for long enough compared to like somebody else? I'm not saying these traits just instantly makes you ADHD. It's just something to look into, and so that you can navigate life from now a bit more easily, or with a bit more understanding. That's what I'm doing now. Before I was always blaming myself. I can't even do this, I can't even do that, I can't even get this video out, or I can't even stick to one idea when I'm doing a YouTube video. These are not my fault. My brain doesn't work like that. It just, knowing that now, how my brain works, it's such a relief for me. It's like I can be more kinder to myself. And that's what we all need to be. We have high expectations. Sometimes it's important to realize that, even though I'm not meeting the expectations, why is it? What is the reason behind it? It's not always, I'm just lazy, or I'm not doing the work. That's the easiest. That's what the society tells us. That's what society tells us. And that's an easy blame game. Just sugarcoat it and not looking deep into what the real cause is. So I think I'm going to wrap this video up here. Well, I'm going to wrap up my point. So to summarize, if you have ADHD, just remember that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that your brain and your mind just works a bit differently to others out there. One of the best things you can do is stop comparing yourself to others out there. Because some people might be achieving a lot more than what you are capable of, and you might be stressing out because of that. And just remember, you work differently, and you just haven't found how to harness the power of your mind yet. Maybe that's the case. In my scenario, that's definitely the case. I do understand if you're in that Malayali society or in any society, and they have such a huge stigma about mental health, it's very difficult to talk about this. And I actually lived through that when I was going through my depression. There was no one to really relate, or no one even to talk to. The only answer they would give you is probably like, oh, go to church, or you need to spend more time with people, etc., etc. I mean, these things can help, but it didn't really help me, to be honest. So I would say the best course of action that I took back then was to seek out professional help. Go to your GP, talk to them. That is the best way forward. Trying to talk to these people, I don't want to be too negative, but trying to talk to people in your society who lived, especially people who lived in a closed off society or closed-minded people, they're not going to change their mind at 60 or at 50 years old. That's not going to happen. What's a bit more annoying nowadays is I still see people in my age holding this same stigma forward, taking the same stigma forward, which is kind of, it's a shame, to be honest. They should be much more open-minded. They should be willing to listen, willing to accept what the reality of things of mental health, like ADHD. But I still see people from my generation still holding up that stigma, which is, in my opinion, if you are one of those people, please do a bit more research, study about this a bit more. I just want to make one point pretty clear, that I'm not here blaming anyone. The way I grew up is the way I grew up. There was nothing my parents or anybody could have done, because back in those days there wasn't enough information available, and my parents did their best they can with the cards they had in their hands. That's just the way the world works, and that's just the way humans evolve. But now I am here and I know better, and I know what to do and what not to do when I bring up my kids. So I only get that because I opened my mind to it. I stepped out of that box and I started thinking for myself. And everybody should do that. Parents are there to guide you up to a point, but after a while, even your society doesn't, if you live, like I said, if you live in a closed society, they don't have the answers that you need. You need to look outside of it. And that's when you have to open your mind, be more open-minded. I keep saying open-minded, but yeah, that's basically it. Just be more open-minded and don't just laugh things off. Talk about it. Talk about the difficult things that others are not willing to talk about, so that you can genuinely relate to somebody else and help that person out, or at least understand yourself more. Tell me about, if you have an ADHD and if you're a Malayali or in any society, how it affected you and how the stigma is still readily there in your society. And so how do you navigate through this? Leave it down in the comments. It might help me and it might help other people who come across this video. I will be making more videos similar to this going forward, personal journey and talking about my mental health, depression, etc., etc. This video has been pretty interesting for me to make, and reflecting on my past has been quite a challenge, but I'm happy that I got through it, and hope this helps somebody out there. Subscribe for more videos and leave a comment. I'll see you guys in the next video, and get out there and be creative. This place looks promising, as long as there isn't snakes underneath this. Yeah. Am I in the shot? I think I should move this. Ah.